With me now is Mitzie Hunter, President and CEO of the Canadian Women's Foundation. Thank you for being with us today, Mitzie.
Thank you for having me. And it's an important time for us to be talking about this issue.
Tell me your reaction to this new act that was proposed, the Protecting Victims Act. Does it go far enough, and will it address your concerns?
Well, first of all, I want to say that the tabling of this act during the 16 days of violence against women in Canada is very timely, and it's very important as we remember those that were impacted by Ecole Polytechnique that we just had the Day of Remembrance on December the 6th. And I just want to just recognize that and for those victims and their families. This is an important step that we need to take to recognize that gender-based violence and violence against women is at epidemic levels in Canada. And it's just rising and ever rising, and we have to take steps through the judicial system to do something about it. But also the whole of society has to recognize that this is something that is pervasive, and likely that they know someone who has been a victim of gender-based violence, and we need to see that reflected in our criminal justice system, but also across society.
In fact, you're right on that point. The federal government put out a press release about this new act, and in it stated that intimate partner homicides were up 39% last year, which is a staggering statistic. But will this new approach, in your opinion, address the issue?
You know, I want to be straight with Canadians that there really is not a silver bullet approach to solving this issue. Of course, these are important changes, and myself and those of us in the women's movement, we're going to study this bill, and we're going to have opportunity to have input, make it better, make it stronger, and ensure that voices of those that are impacted by gender-based violence are being heard and are reflected in this bill. But it's not a silver bullet. We need other things that will ensure that women have safety when it comes to things like housing, ensuring that there are safe alternatives if a woman is unsafe and needs to have shelter and support, even just shifts within the culture itself, and in ensuring that women, girls, and gender diverse people are safe, whether they're online or offline. These are all aspects that need addressing, and really we need to be talking about it. And I think that by even tabling this bill today, it's creating a really important conversation, but we need to broaden the discussion. And just to really underscore that, the Canadian Women's Foundation has just done some national polling, and 65% of people that we've spoken to know someone in their lives that has been affected by gender-based violence. And so it's chances are you know someone who has been affected. And so we have to take every step possible to keep them safe. This is definitely a measure that's been made today, but it's not a silver bullet.
Mitzie, I'm hoping I can get your perspective on one of the other pillars of this Protecting Victims Act, and that is criminalizing coercive control. And so the federal government is saying that if there is control before violence occurs, that could be criminalized and the justice system could step in. But how in practice would that actually work? How does that get policed? How would you prove the pattern?
Well, that's actually a really good question, and it does start by ensuring that all of the evidence is gathered and properly documented along the way. We know that that oftentimes when there is violence, or even you talked about 39% of homicides have increased for against women, and when we look at that, it's often 81% is by an intimate partner and someone that she knows, a man that she knows in her life. And so that documentation is important, that we collect that in a proper way and that it is brought into evidence. This bill it's important, and it's important that we have those within the women's sector who have really spent a lot of time studying how how violence happens and what is needed, that they are listened to, that we have the opportunity to provide good input to improve it and to strengthen this bill. And this is an aspect of it that we want to take serious consideration and to have a look at.
Well, any step is a step forward for issues like this. Mitzie Hunter, President and CEO of the Canadian Women's Foundation, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much. And we invite your listeners just to stay safe and get help if needed. Resources are available in the community for those that need the support.
Thank you for that reminder.